The rain came like judgment, not the type that pattered gently on rooftops and lulled babies to sleep. No, this one roared like an angry mob. It drenched the dusty streets of Ajegunle, turning sand to thick mud. Street vendors covered their wares, and Okada riders swerved into corners to seek shelter. But Boma stood in the middle of it all, her eyes fixed on the rusted gate of No. 14 Ekong Street. She clutched a polythene bag to her chest, the kind used to wrap meat in the market. Inside were 2 faded wrappers, 3 blouses, her school uniform, and the only thing that mattered, her late mother's tattered Bible. Her fingers were numb. The rain had soaked her hair and her slippers had cut, but she dared not sit down. She had arrived. Ah. The heavy gate creaked open, and Mama Tara emerged. She was short and stout, with a wrapper tied around her chest and a headscarf knotted firmly like a crown. Her eyes scanned Boma from head to toe. "You be Boma." Boma nodded, her lips trembling. Mama Tara hissed and turned around without a word. Boma followed, dragging her feet through the puddles. Inside, the house smelled of onions and kerosene. The living room had plastic chairs and a broken ceiling fan that creaked lazily. On the wall hung a faded wedding photo of Mama Tara and her late husband, a man Boma had only seen once in her childhood. "Stand there," Mama Tara barked. "So na you dem say I go take care of een. So your mama don't finish leave me her wahala." Boma didn't answer. Her eyes burned with unshed tears. Just then, 2 girls walked in. One wore a tight tank top and jean shorts with bold makeup on her face. That was Tara, the first daughter. Her steps were confident, hips swaying like she was walking a runway. The second, Ebube, wore a pink bonnet and chewing gum. She sized Boma up like a goat being bought for Salah. "So this na the girl," Tara said, folding her arms. She no fine at all," Ebube scoffed. "See her legs, like mosquito coil." They burst into laughter. Boma's cheeks turned red, but she said nothing. "You go sleep for the small room near the store," Mama Tara said. "Na there we day keep old buckets and broom. You go manage. And from tomorrow you go wake by 4 a.m. Fetch water, sweep compound, wash plate." Tara and Ebube don't know do all those things. Boma nodded again. Her throat was tight. "And a beg, no day chop my meat. You go cook, but now after everybody done chop you go eat. No be say you come here come day live like madam." Without waiting for a response, Mama Tara turned and walked away, her slippers slapping the floor. Tara smirked and leaned closer. Better borrow sense now. This house no get space for oversabby people. Ebube blew a bubble with her gum and popped it in Boma's face. That night, Boma lay on a mat in the cramped storeroom, surrounded by cobwebs and the smell of old rat poison. The wind howled through the broken Louvre window. She hugged her Bible tight and stared at the ceiling. "Mummy," she whispered, her voice cracking. "You say make I always pray when things hard. But why you no carry me go with you?" A cockroach scurried across the floor, and Boma flinched. She closed her eyes tightly, forcing back the tears. This was her new life, and it had only just begun. Morning in Ajegunle was never quiet. By 4 a.m., the neighborhood stirred to life. The muezzin's call to prayer echoed from the mosque down the street. Pots clanged. Babies cried. Water sellers shouted Mairua as they pushed their carts through puddles. Inside No. 14 Ekong Street, Boma was already awake. She hadn't slept much. The mosquitoes had feasted on her legs all night, and the foam she lay on felt like cardboard. Still, she rose. With sleepy eyes and aching limbs, she carried the big silver basin and joined the queue at the community borehole 2 streets away. The other women and girls whispered and giggled behind her back. "That's the new girl way day stay with Mama Tara," one said. She day suffero. Na so she resemble her mama quiet and soft. By the time Boma returned, sweat and dew mixed on her forehead. She carried 2 buckets in each hand, staggering under the weight. "Better go clean the parlour before I comet," Mama Tara barked from the kitchen. "And don't forget say you go wash Ebube's school uniform," she say stain day. "Yes, Ma," Boma replied. In the kitchen, the aroma of fried eggs filled the air. Her stomach rumbled. She hadn't eaten since yesterday afternoon, but as always, she would wait. Breakfast was a ritual. Tara and Ebube sat at the table, scrolling through Instagram on their phones, while Boma stood by the door like a maid. "You can go now," Tara said after picking the biggest piece of yam. Boma went to the backyard, found a piece of leftover akara from the dustbin, dusted it off, and ate it quietly with cold water. At school, Boma's life was different but only slightly better. She wore an oversized uniform that used to belong to Ebube, with faded colours and a tear near the hem. Her school sandals had cracked soles, and the sole of her left foot touched the ground when she walked. But none of that mattered once she stepped into the classroom. There she came alive. "Good morning, sir," she greeted her teachers with a slight bow. She sat in the front row, close to the blackboard, where her eyes could drink knowledge like cold water on a hot day. She loved literature and English especially. Words fascinated her. They gave her a voice when no one else would. Mr. Emmanuel, the English teacher, often paused to admire her dedication. "Boma, read your answer," he said one day during comprehension class. She stood, holding her notebook. The writer uses irony to express the duality of hope and despair in the poem. This reflects the contradiction in the human condition. The class was quiet. "Very good," Mr. Emmanuel said, nodding. "Clap for her." A few girls clapped. Tara, who sat at the back with her makeup bag hidden in her locker, hissed. "What's she forming, Seth?" she whispered to Ebube. "This one we day clean toilet every morning." But Boma didn't care. After school, she waited for Tara and Ebube to finish posing for selfies before they reluctantly allowed her to walk behind them like a servant. She dared not ask for transport money. While they took bike rides home, Boma trekked 45 minutes under the blazing sun, her stomach groaning. That evening she returned to find a heap of clothes in a bucket. "Now your work be this," Mama Tara said, hands on her hips. "But I just came back from before she could finish." A slap landed across her cheek. "You day talk back at me. You don't forget say na my food you day chop. You think say to raise pick in the beans? Or you one follow my daughter's drag position for this house?" Boma held her cheek, tears springing to her eyes. "No, Ma," she whispered. "Good. Go soak the clothes. After that, help Ebube twist her hair. Tomorrow she gets social studies presentation." That night, as the others watched African Magic and laughed loudly in the living room, Boma sat outside under the mango tree, writing in her small brown journal. She wrote about her pain, her loneliness, her dreams, her parents. "Dear Mummy and Daddy," she scribbled, "I miss you. I wish you could see how I live now. But I won't give up. I promise you, I will make you proud one day." The moon watched her silently, casting silver light over her weary face. In that moment, under the harshness of life and the weight of rejection, something inside Boma refused to break. She would endure. For now. The morning sun rose lazily over Community Secondary School, casting long shadows over the cracked pavement and rusty basketball pole that had long lost its net. The bell rang clang, 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 calling the students in for the Monday assembly. Girls straightened their uniforms. Boys shuffled into lines. Boma stood quietly at the back of the Jace 3 line, her fingers clutching her worn-out notebook. Her eyes were still puffy from waking up too early, but she didn't miss assembly for anything. It was the only time she felt like she belonged with the rest of the students, even if just for 30 minutes. The principal, a short woman with a sharp voice and a powerful stare, stepped onto the wooden podium. She adjusted her microphone. "Good morning, students. Good morning, Ma." They chorused. "I bring announcement," she said, flipping a file. "The Federal Ministry of Education is organizing a nationwide essay competition. Theme: My Dream for Nigeria. Any student from 1 to 3 can apply. Deadline is next week, Monday. Top prize includes a laptop, full scholarship, and recognition by the Honourable Minister for Education." A ripple of excitement swept through the crowd. "Che! Laptop K?" Someone whispered. "Scholarship join. Na big dealo." Even the teachers looked impressed. Tara, standing beside her group of friends near the stew line, raised her perfectly shaped eyebrows. "Mshoo, essay competition. Who get that kind time?" she said, tossing her braided wig. "No be TikTok challenge?" Her friend Cynthia laughed. "Na poor man pickin' day fight for scholarship." Boma said nothing, but her heart beat faster. Something inside her whispered, "This is your chance." Later that day during break, Boma sat under the almond tree at the edge of the school compound, far from where the popular girls gossiped and the boys kicked rubber balls around. She removed her brown diary and opened to a fresh page. She had no laptop, no tablet, no fancy dictionary app, just her pen, her thoughts, and a hunger to be seen. She began writing. "My dream for Nigeria is simple. A place where a girl like me, born in silence and raised in suffering, can find her voice. A Nigeria where dreams are not a privilege, but a right." She paused. The words flowed like a stream, raw, honest, unfiltered. She wrote about the Nigeria she saw in her mind, where orphan girls were not treated like pests, where schools had books, where teachers were heroes, and where love wasn't earned by being rich. At home that evening, Boma quietly tucked the essay into her school file. She didn't tell Mama Tara, or Ebube. They'd only laugh. Or worse, find a way to ruin it. The next morning she waited until they all left the house. Then she hurried to school, breathing hard, and handed the envelope to the school secretary. "Ma, please help me submit this to the competition board." The woman looked at her with mild curiosity. "You day submit? You sure?" "Yes, Ma." She dropped it in the mailbag and whispered a prayer in her heart. Days passed, then weeks. The house was the same, cold looks, endless chores and silent tears. But Boma's mind had found a small spark, a fragile hope, something to look forward to. Then, exactly 4 weeks later, a white Toyota Hilux with a government plate number pulled into the school compound. It was so clean, even the dust respected it. The principal was called. Teachers gathered. Whispers spread like wildfire. Dem say na Ministry of Education officials be something done happen. 30 minutes later, the school's assembly bell rang again, clang, 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 but this time during third period. Every student was asked to come to the field. Boma's heart pounded. She didn't know why. The principal stepped up again, this time grinning. "My dear students," she said proudly, "I have good news. The winner of the national essay competition is right here in our school." The crowd erupted in gasps. Boma's breath caught. Could it be? The official stepped forward with a big brown envelope. The winning essay, he said, was heartfelt, powerful, and authentic. It was written by, he paused, Miss Tara Juliet. Cheers exploded. Girls screamed. Boys clapped. Boma felt like the ground shifted beneath her. "Tara." She blinked. Maybe she misheard. But no, there was Tara, smiling like a pageant queen, walking to the podium with a fake look of surprise. "Wow," she said into the mic. "I'm really honoured. I just wrote from my heart. I didn't expect to win. But I guess when you're inspired by pain, the words just come. Pain. Boma's knees went weak. Those were her words. That was her pain. That was her essay. She wanted to scream, to shout, to cry. But instead she stood frozen as the students lifted Tara up, chanting her name, taking selfies and showering her with praise. The worst part, Tara turned to her and winked. That evening, as the sun set and Boma scrubbed the toilet in silence, she overheard Mama Tara talking on the phone. "Yes-o, my daughter win competition. I tell you, say she be genius. Big officials come school today. They say she even go Abuja next month. Ay, Nagado." Boma walked to the backyard, sat behind the bathroom wall, and buried her face in her hands. It wasn't just the theft. It was the silence. The powerlessness. The way the world clapped for someone who had stolen your soul and painted it as hers. She picked up a stick and drew lines in the sand. Then she made a promise to herself, "They may steal my words, but they can't steal my destiny." That night, sleep ran from Boma like a thief in the night. She tossed and turned on the thin foam mattress in the cramped storeroom, her thoughts louder than the rats scurrying in the ceiling. Tara had done the unthinkable. She had stolen Boma's essay, won a national competition with it, and now wore the crown like she was born for it. The memory of Tara standing on the assembly podium, pretending to be humble, kept replaying in Boma's mind like a cursed Nollywood movie. "I just wrote from pain, from my soul," Tara had said. But it was Boma's pain, her soul. She sat up, lit the small rechargeable torch she had kept hidden, and opened her brown journal. Flipping through the pages, she found her original essay, the one she wrote under the almond tree. The handwriting was hers, the date clearly written in blue ink, February 12th, 2025. She looked at the paper Tara had left on the dining table earlier, where she had scribbled notes for her upcoming interview. Same sentences. Same metaphors. Word for word. A girl like me, born in silence and raised in suffering, Tara hadn't even bothered to tweak the lines. She had copied everything. Rage bubbled in Boma's chest. By morning, Boma knew what she had to do. The next day after school, Boma waited patiently for Mr. Emmanuel, her English teacher, who had always shown her kindness. When he finally came out of the staff room, Boma approached him slowly, holding her journal close. "Sir, good afternoon." "Ah, Boma, how are you?" I need to show you something, sir. It's about the essay competition." He raised an eyebrow. "What is it?" She handed him the journal with trembling fingers. "I wrote that essay, sir. Not Tara. This is my original draft. I wrote it weeks before the submission." Mr. Emmanuel scanned the page. His eyes narrowed as he read. "You're saying Tara stole this from you?" "Yes, sir. I wrote it in this same journal. I didn't tell anyone. I only submitted it through the school secretary. But Tara, she must have taken it from my file. She lives in the same house with me." He looked at her, shocked, then at the journal again. "You're serious?" Tears brimmed in Boma's eyes. "Yes, sir. Please, I just want the truth to come out." That essay was my heart. And now everybody's calling her a genius. And I'm still here washing clothes and sweeping compound like a nobody. Mr. Emmanuel rubbed his chin. He believed her, he could see it in her eyes. "I'll look into this. But Boma, be very careful. Don't tell anyone yet. Let me speak with the principal quietly." Boma nodded, but she should have known Ajegunle walls have ears. By evening, as she arrived home, the atmosphere was already charged. Mama Tara sat outside, wrapper tied under her chest, fanning herself violently with a church bulletin. Her eyes burned with fury. Tara stood by the entrance, arms folded, smirking. "You think say you smart, Abi?" Mama Tara hissed the moment Boma stepped into the compound. "So you carry your long mouth go school, tell dem sayna you write the essay?" Boma froze. Mr. Emmanuel had promised to keep it quiet. How did you know?" Before she could finish, a resounding bosa slap landed on her cheek. It was the kind of slap that shook her soul. "You won drag my daughter name inside gutter. You won disgrace me for public. Boma, you no get shame." Tara stepped forward. "You day jealous because God bless me. You write story for your journal, so what? E mean say you submit am." "I did." Boma's voice cracked. "I submitted it through the secretary." Another slap came. This time it made her ear ring. "You don't craze, Boma. You day lie against my daughter. You day bite the finger we feed you." Tara hissed. "Better go sweep toilet. Nonsense orphan." Boma's lips trembled. Her face throbbed. Her soul felt like it was bleeding. That night, after everyone went to bed, she quietly packed her journal, wrapped it in a nylon bag, and hid it inside the inner pocket of her school bag. She lay on her mat in the storeroom, facing the cracked ceiling, silent tears rolling down her cheeks. They had humiliated her, lied against her, and beaten her for defending the truth. Why, God? Why? She had done nothing but be honest. But honesty in this house was treated like rebellion. The next day at school, Mr. Emmanuel pulled her aside. His face was tense. "Boma, I'm sorry. I don't know how your aunt found out, but the principal has asked that we don't escalate the matter further. The board already announced Tara publicly. To reverse it would be messy, so I should just forget it," she asked, her voice shaking. "For now," he said softly, "but don't give up. Sometimes the truth needs time to fight its way out." She nodded, but deep down something in her had changed. That was the moment Boma stopped expecting justice from others. She decided she would be her own justice. One way or the other, the truth would find its voice. Even if the world tried to silence hers, it started with a knock. Not just any knock, this one was firm, steady, and confident. The type of knock that made people adjust their clothes before answering the door. It was a Tuesday afternoon. The sun hung high, the heat so thick it melted candle wax. Boma had just returned from school and was bent over the backyard basin, washing Ebube's clothes for the second time that week. Inside, Mama Tara and Tara were sitting in the parlour. Ebube was filming a TikTok dance in the corridor. "Capem, capem, capem. Who be that?" Mama Tara barked. She dragged her wrapper and shuffled to the door, muttering. As she opened it, her expression changed. Her lips parted slightly, her eyes blinking rapidly. "Good afternoon, madam," said a man in a navy blue suit, holding an official-looking file. A woman in a smart blouse stood beside him. Behind them, a third man carried a camera bag. "We're from the Ministry of Education. May we come in?" Mama Tara's voice wavered. Yes, come in." She stepped aside quickly, her hands now shaking. Tara peeked from the kitchen, her eyes narrowing. "Who are those people?" Boma heard the commotion from the backyard and tiptoed to the window. Her heart began to pound. The man opened his file and spoke in a calm, official tone. "We're here regarding the national essay competition. There's been an irregularity. Someone contacted us anonymously and submitted photographic evidence suggesting that the winning essay was plagiarized." "Plagwetting?" Mama Tara asked, blinking rapidly. "Plagiarized, Ma. In short, the essay was copied. Word for word from another student." Tara's stomach dropped. She stood up suddenly. "Excuse me, what are you trying to say?" The woman official raised her hand. "We're not here to fight. We just need clarity." The man continued. "We have pictures of the original handwritten essay. Same content, dated 2 weeks before the competition. We also received a library login record showing that the original writer worked on the essay on specific days. He turned to Tara. Miss Tara Juliet, can you produce any early draft of the essay you submitted? Did you write it in longhand first before typing? Tara's voice cracked. No, I typed it directly on my phone. I see, the man said. And that phone, can we examine it? Tara stammered. It crashed last week. The memory wiped, convenient, the woman said, scribbling in her notebook. The third man, now confirmed to be a journalist, asked gently, where is Miss Boma Anyanwu? Silence fell. Mama Tara looked like she'd swallowed sand. She's at the back. Boma stepped into the living room slowly, her uniform still damp from sweat and soap. She looked at the officials, unsure. Are you Boma? The man asked. Yes, sir. He smiled warmly. We believe you wrote the original essay. Would you mind answering a few questions? Tara burst out. This is a lie. She's jealous. She's been trying to steal my shine from the beginning enough. The woman snapped, turning to her. This is a formal investigation. Mr. Emmanuel arrived moments later, along with the school principal. Apparently they had been notified earlier to witness the questioning. Boma was calm. She brought out her brown journal. I wrote it here, she said softly. February 12th. I submitted it on the 14th through the school secretary. She can confirm. The official scanned the pages. The date? The ink? The same exact essay? I never told anyone, Boma said. Not even at home. So the only way Tara could have had it was if she saw it in my file. Tara began to cry. It was just one small idea I took, okay, maybe two. But she's a nobody. Nobody would have noticed if I didn't win. The room went still. That sentence sealed it. 30 minutes later, after several statements and a brief interview, the verdict was delivered. The award is hereby withdrawn from Miss Tara Juliet and reassigned to Miss Boma Anyanwu. We will make a formal press statement in 48 hours. The minister wishes to meet you personally, Boma. Mama Tara slumped into the couch, gasping. Ebube stood frozen, her phone still recording by accident. Tara broke down on the floor, sobbing dramatically. You ruined me, Boma. You witch. You cursed orphan. Boma looked at her, calm, collected. I didn't ruin you, she replied softly. You did it to yourself. By the following weekend, Boma's face was all over social media and TV. Orphan girl wins national essay competition after attempted theft by cousin, the headlines read. Nigerians reacted with fire. Justice on land. This Boma girl na star. See how calm she day answer for Channel's TV interview. The wicked always fall. Calls poured in. An NGO from Abuja offered Boma a full scholarship to any secondary school of her choice. Another donated a laptop and school supplies. A boarding house was arranged for her, far from the toxic household of Mama Tara. When the black SUV came to pick her up, Boma packed only one small bag. She didn't need much. Mama Tara didn't come out to say goodbye. Tara was still locked inside her room, refusing to eat. Ebube stood in the corner, avoiding eye contact. As Boma reached the gate, she turned. I forgive you all, she said quietly, but I won't forget. And with that, she stepped into the car and drove into a future brighter than anything she had dared to imagine. Join me next time for more captivating stories. Trust me, you won't want to miss it. Before you go, help me grow this community. Hit that like button for more thrilling content. Subscribe for new uploads. Comment below with your theories and reactions. Share with friends and family who love a good story. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for being an amazing part of this journey.